I now want to go back to Anna Corrin in Seoul because there is some information coming from the Defense Ministry there in South Korea. Do we have Anna?
Yeah, that's right, John. We've just received word from the Defense Ministry that it believes North Korea did conduct a nuclear test in the Punggye-ri region, which is in the northeast of the country. That is, of course, where they held the nuclear test back in 2006 and 2009. Now, it has revised the magnitude of that artificial quake, or nuclear test, as they now believe, that to be 5.0. Now, it also believes, and this is big news, that it measured 10 kilotons. Now, of course, the success of this test is going to be down to the explosive power of the bomb. And just to give you an example, they believe this test measured at 10 kilotons. Now, 1 kiloton is 1,000 tons of TNT. To put it into context, Hiroshima was 20 kilotons. So this is half that of Hiroshima. Now, I heard you speaking to the former foreign minister a little bit earlier, John, and he says that this is very much a game changer. Now, if this was a success, and from what we are getting, the data that we are getting at the moment, it would seem that it certainly was a success, that North Korea is on its way to creating a nuclear arsenal, and that is what it ultimately wants to do. It wants to have a nuclear arsenal. It wants to be a nuclear state so that it can be a force to be reckoned with, John.
What is interesting is I remember the first nuclear test back in 2006. There was some speculation that it was a bit of a dud, that it was hardly, it was less than the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, which ended World War II. We're also having word now too, Anna.
John, it was...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say that test back in 2006 measured only 1 kiloton. The test in 2009 measured less than 7 kilotons. So now we have a bomb that measured 10 kilotons. That is coming from the Defense Ministry.
Okay, so there is a clear pattern here that each time they carry out these nuclear tests over the last few years, that there is an increase in capability, an increase in the yield of these explosive devices which they have been testing. There is also now an expectation, quite possibly, Anna, at least coming from the South Koreans, of further nuclear tests by the North, maybe even another rocket launch. What's the basis of those expectations?
Yeah, certainly. We just heard from its official state news agency this morning, KCNA, that it will continue with its rocket launches. So it certainly made no secret of that. As you were discussing a little bit earlier, that successful rocket launch back in December, you know, they fired off that rocket, they sent that satellite into orbit. Now, this is a rocket that potentially can travel 13,000 kilometres. Now, that is from Korea to mainland USA, and that, of course, is the great concern. So if they have the capability to get the rocket up, obviously the re-entry, that is a whole other story, but doing this nuclear test underground up at Punggye-ri, they are testing basically what would be in the warhead. And the spokesperson you spoke to a little bit earlier, he was mentioning how they want to create a miniaturized warhead, a warhead to go on these rockets. So if these tests that are taking place, whether it's plutonium or uranium, that is yet to be determined. This is something that will obviously come out in the next days. If they are able to miniaturize that material, put it on a warhead and send it up as a rocket, then North Korea is certainly a force to be reckoned with.